When I first met Pac myself personally, it was around, I believe, 1993, 1994. When I came down to Atlanta to move in his house with him, some of the members was already in a group called the Young Thugs, which was Gaddafi, Edie, and Castro. And when I went down to Atlanta, I went with the intention to be a solo artist, you know? And it wasn't until a couple months later Pac decided to put me into the group. Yeah, the first song that I ever appeared on, which on a professional level, was from the Me Against the World album, a song called Outlaws, you know? When I first got there, we started as a group, but I was actually recording songs with Gaddafi, Castro, and Edie, Young Thugs at this particular time, with the intention that I'm going to solo artist. But we just clicked so naturally that we continued to do songs. A few months after that, that's the incident when Tupac got shot and Pac got shot and he got arrested. While he was in prison, he actually closed a deal with us at Interscope Records. So we actually flew out to Los Angeles to perform our album with Interscope Records. And that time, Pac, he changed our name to Dramacidal, you know? Well, what happened, and this is what I'm also going to promote, I have a documentary that's coming out called Life of an Outlaw, where I show and basically my whole life, and I explain all this and how I met Tupac, growing up with him and things like that. But what happened when we got to Los Angeles and recorded this album with Interscope Records, Pac in prison, that's when he signed a record contract with Death Row Records and Suge. So what happened, he called us and he said, you know, we now going to Death Row Records, we moving on with Suge, and we're not going to be able to release his album on Interscope. So basically we did the album, a dope album, and it just sat on Interscope Records because, you know, we moved on to Death Row Records after that. Pac at this time, man, he was our leader, he was our big brother. So, you know, we had trust in him and confidence in him that, you know, we rolling with him. You know, our loyalty was with Pac, not with Interscope Records. So wherever Pac would have said he's going, we automatically know this is where we going, because our loyalty was with him, you know? I think he spent about a year and a half in prison, you know? And when Suge approached him and stuff like that, we was also going back and forth to visit him in prison, so we knew what was happening. We knew who was coming to visit him, you know? We know what was happening. You know, Pac always kept us informed. You know, there was no one that was closer to Pac than us, you know? So every move that he made, he always, and it's not like he consulted us because he needed us, but from the type of person he always contacted us and said, this is what I'm going to do. This person just came to visit me. We knew everything, you know what I mean? He kept us updated on everything. We was excited because Death Row Records at that time was the #1 record, hip-hop record company, not only in the West Coast, but maybe in the whole entire world at that particular time, you know what I mean? So we was excited, you know. We knew that at that time, Suge Knight, he knew how to promote an artist. He knew he was doing good. He was selling records, and he was making a lot of money. And not only that, Pac, from what he was into and the trouble that he got into, he needed to connect with some people that can have, you know, that he can ride with and they can ride with him. And Death Row Records at that time was the perfect home for him. Well, there wasn't nothing personally between Pac and Mopreme, because they actually recorded a lot of songs. Even when he came to Death Row Records, Big Psych was around every day. Mopreme was around every day. I remember one time Big Psych, he had to, he was a man, you know what I mean? And he personally decided that he wanted to take a break for a little bit and stepped away. Mopreme, this is Tupac's brother. You know, they have family relations. Tupac father, Mopreme father, and Tupac's sister, they share the same father. So it was, even though at one particular time Mopreme probably stopped coming around Death Row at some time, but they always was in touch. It wasn't nothing personal. You know what I mean? When Pac was saying the thug life, he was talking about some people, the other cats that he was hanging with at a particular time. You know, but it was still love with Big Psych and Mopreme. I know that for a fact. They decided to step away on their own. And this is why you guys got to get my documentary. You know, the documentary, we have unseen footage ever that never been seen before. Tupac, it breaks down on the backside of it that a lot of people didn't know what Pac was going through at that time, what we was going through. You know, the documentary will be released this year, God willing. It's definitely gonna come this year, man. We were just being patient, try to get the right distribution deal, and right now we in talks with the right people. So we definitely have to release it this year. It's been finished maybe for the last 2 years, and I've been traveling around the world doing screenings and showing in Australia, Dubai, London, different parts of the world. We just been going around showing screenings of the documentary. But this year definitely have to release it. A lot of the people, the feedback is very, very positive. I think a lot of people were shocked and they were surprised to see not only, the documentary is about my life. It's not really concentrating on Pac and the Outlaws, but that was a major part of my life. And I think a lot of people were surprised to actually see what we went through as a group, what we went through with Pac, the background that I came from before I got into the music industry with my family and things like that. And, at the end, it's finally that we have a story with something positive, you know what I mean? I thank God that I was able to accept the religion of Islam, and that changed my life and it saved me. So usually you have documentaries or you hear stories where there's always a bad ending. And this one, the reason why we put this documentary together, because we want to show a positive side, that, especially to the youth, you know what I mean, that there's always a way out of that life, The way Pac, he just liked to work. He was always the type of individual in the studio. He just loved to work, and he always had a plan that he was going to eventually release the albums. But we plan, but God is the best of planners. You know what I mean? So it didn't turn out the way we wanted it to turn out. And that's exactly what happened. We was present, but the way Pac worked, he's an individual that he's in a hurry all the time. So the way Pac was working, he was like, man, whoever don't finish, he'd give you 10 minutes, for example, to finish your verse. If your verse ain't done in 10 minutes, you're not getting on the song. Because he just like to work, close the song, and go to the next song. So he was like, look, man, the song almost done. Whoever have their verses ready, get on. If you're not, we're going to put our lyrics on, we're going to turn it off and put a new song on. So that's why me and Castro was, and we was writing a little slow that day, man. No, Pop just likes to work. He just would come in and say, this is the beat. Get on the beat, do the song. We finish, next song. Like, he was an individual, man. He worked in a strange way, but it worked for him. It worked, you know what I mean? He know how to put things together. He just liked to record, and he was the type when it comes to pick an album or to put the songs together for an album, he would listen to all the songs and he'd say, this go on this album, that song go on that album. We never planned ahead. We just went in and we worked. Well, we actually had apartments, and but we also stayed at Pac house. We all had rooms within his home, so we would go back and forth. Some days we would be at the apartment, some days we would be at his house. It depends on the mood. We was going back and forth. So wherever Pac stayed, we always lived with him. He never He made sure that he had enough rooms in his house that the Outlaws, we had a place to stay. Yeah, I never really knew. That's a good question, because I never even knew what was Pac's intention or what was his plan to always keep a camera around him, especially his last days before he passed away. He was into just having someone follow him and interview him. I never knew really what was his plan, But even some of that footage of Gobi, we have also some extra footage for my documentary, as I mentioned, that's never seen before. You know what I mean? And usually when they show a side of a documentary or video Pac, they only really show one side of them. But even as the Outlaws, we never got the opportunity to speak truly about who Pac really was as a person. You know what I mean? Because one of the things Pac said is, before he passed away, he didn't want none of us to tell his story. He used to say, if I die, I don't want none of the Outlaws to tell my story. So for my documentary, we don't tell a story, but I wanted to show a side of Pac that the people didn't know. You know what I mean? And show, the type of person he really was, So we even got some of that footage, definitely. we actually at that particular time approached Death Row Records ourselves because we thought that it was a smart, strategic move to be able to go to Death Row Records and actually, be able to release some songs immediately. After the death of Pop, we didn't want his legacy to die down. And we thought being that Pop was once part of Death Row Records, they still have songs with him. It was better for us to go there, release some songs with Pop and release the album and just, keep the legacy alive. So we approached Death Row Records, for the record deal. In fact, I believe it was me who called Suge personally. Yeah, I think that's exactly what happened. Somebody called like, man, we just heard somebody playing new Pop songs, and, maybe from New Jersey and then from Compton, then from all over the world. You hear people talking about these songs, it was shot out, At that particular time, man, when we found out, it was crazy that it just hit the streets like that, We still didn't know where it was coming from, who released these songs, but it had an impact with the people. It made the people actually get to hear Pop and love. The streets went crazy. To be honest, it was something that they wanted, but for us as a business move, we was upset, you know what I mean? We was upset that they released it like that, but it was like a wildfire. Once it came out, it was uncontrollable. And actually, it actually probably did more good than harm, if I'm not mistaken. You know what I mean? Because everywhere you turned, the people was buzzing about this. But as a business move, of course, the people was upset, That's exactly what it was. It's like we came to Death Row Records so that we can release the album. And it was taking, 1 year would go by, 2 years would go by, and we had a done album. And so we decided, man, the best thing for us to do is to move forward, get off of Death Row Records and move forward. At this particular time, Suge Knight was in jail. So I don't know about him being in prison, if that slowed anything down. But it was about time for us to move forward and release the album. I remember at that particular time, everybody was leaving Death Row Records. So we didn't want to make it seem like we jumping ship, but as a business move, it was wise for us to get out. So I even myself personally went to Suge Knight and spoke to him like a man and told him that I actually want to get off of Death Row Records, and I told him the reason why. And he agreed. He said, I'm not withholding no one who's not ready to be held. Then no problem, I will release you guys,